Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Thomas Clan Garden. Today, I want to talk about the value cost, benefits of growing your own food on a small scale, anyway. Um, I've been talking to a lot of people lately about my garden, talking about all the tomatoes that are coming and the zucchini I've already harvested. And what a lot of people are telling me is about how the cost of a garden or the amount of time is just too much and they can't do it. And that's really that really is kind of crazy to me. So what I've been doing this year is I've been keeping track of every penny that I've spent on the garden. I've also loosely kept track of the number of hours, and I have I have been keeping exact track of everything that I've harvested. So I just kind of want to go over that a little bit. So I'm going to go over the cost first, my time second, and and a little bit about value third. So number one, the cost. So far this year, I've spent $249 plus. Actually, I spent $46 yesterday. So $249 and 46 is $295 and some change. So I've spent less than $300 to date. Now, our garden is 740 square feet. And I've spent less than $300 on it. Now, 740 square feet is 7.4 times larger than the average first year gardener's garden, at least from the little bit of research that I could find on Google. I tried to know what I'm talking about before I say anything. Unfortunately, I could find very, very little information. And most seed catalog companies recommend that beginners start with a 10 by 16 garden, which is a little bit bigger than what the average beginner's gardener is. So, getting back on topic, with the overall cost, $300, that's really not a lot of money to produce what is going to be an incredible amount of vegetables. I mean, already this year, I've harvested the equivalent to $56.74 in vegetables. Now keep in mind that the zucchini, the lettuce, and the onion greens that I've been cutting, the price that I found actually weren't organic prices, because the local largest grocery retailers, the two largest in my area, don't offer those in organic right now. So I had to go with what is typically lower price, non-organic prices, just because I'm not going to guesstimate what the organic prices are. So really, I've harvested more than that because everything I do is organic. But just for exact numbers, that's where I'm at. Now, by the end of the season, when the summer squash, the butternut squash, the beets, the carrots, the rest of the lettuce and spinach, for Christ's sake, and especially all the tomatoes or the sunflower seeds or all the beans, I'm going to harvest a lot. I'm going to end up with huge net savings. And what people don't realize is, in a small 10 by 10 garden, you'll probably break even by the end of the year, maybe not make profit, but think of the time it gets you outside breathing fresh air. It gets you off the couch and not watching television, and the sense of pride that you get of being able to eat your own vegetables is just an incredible feeling. I mean, even when I sit around the table with my 6 kids at dinner the other night, we had a salad 100% out of the garden. We had zucchini out of the garden. The only thing that we didn't have that was out of the garden was the potatoes, because our potatoes haven't grown yet, and the meat that we were eating. But all the veggies were out of the garden except for potatoes. And it was so great to hear all around the table, "Oh my God, this is out of the garden. This is so good. I'm so happy we're eating out of the garden." And that's just coming from the kids weeding a little bit, or knowing that I spent my time out there in the garden, which is actually going to transitioned me to the time spent. Now, there are times where I've spent more time than others. It took me about well, actually, no, it took me just over 3 hours to rototill everything as thoroughly as I wanted to. Now, this is with a 40-year-old rototiller that my father lent me. I mean, I could have done it faster if I didn't want to be as thorough, but I really wanted to get into the ground, really have it fluffed up. At the end of the year, when I'm going to do my progression pictures, you'll see how soft the ground was, how fluffed up it was when I got done. Obviously, it didn't stay that way. It's very, very heavy soil. But I spend, on average, only about 15 to 20 minutes a day in my garden. This is a true number. Now I don't even need to spend time in my garden every day. I do, because it's a first year garden, so there's more weeds than there would be in a typical garden year after year after year. And so every time I go into the garden, I'm pulling weeds, which sounds like a lot, but like I said, 15 minutes a day, and I don't even spend that whole time pulling weeds. I'll check tomato leaves for aphids, and I don't check every leaf every day, nor do you have to. And sometimes I'll have certain things that I need to do because the moon is right. There are certain days where that are better for weeding if you do gardening by the moon, in which I'll spend more time weeding on those days, or there are certain days where killing pests is better according to the moon. So I'll really be thorough. Now, luckily, first year garden, there's very few pests because they're not built up in the soil yet. But there are a few. I've found some beetles. I had to cut off. What I do when I find aphids on my tomato plants, I'll cut off that entire set of leaves, or that entire branch of leaves if I have to. And actually throw it in the trash. I won't even put it in the compost because I don't want the aphids in the compost. I mean, I remove them from the garden. I don't just spray some soapy water on them and hope that they die. I get them out. Beetles, especially any of them anywhere near my eggplant, because a couple of years ago when I had a small garden in a place where I used to live, I had beetles just devour my eggplant leaves overnight. So I'm really sensitive about that, which is why I planted it close to the front so I could see my eggplant. It's just, like I said, there are some days where I do spend more time. I never spend more than an hour a day unless it's a huge project. I actually have a project or two coming up that we're going to be doing some episodes on that will take longer, and that's okay. But for the general daily, maintenance of this garden and upkeep, 15 minutes a day. Who doesn't have 15 minutes in their day? I mean, even still, get up 15 minutes earlier if you're really that busy. This is just, with all the benefits of having a garden, of growing your own food, of producing things, especially if you decide to grow organically like I am, of taking a little bit away from the Monsanto and GMOs and all of that, and eating something that's a little bit better for you for a little while, or a couple of meals, is just fantastic. Which brings me to my third thing, the value. Now, I've been able to get some deals here and there. And obviously you can always go to big box retailers and get things cheaper sometimes. Or if you have a big garden like mine, sometimes you're lucky enough to find things that you can buy in bulk, or in at least in extremely large packaging, so you're getting a better deal. Now, fortunately, being that I moved here in the middle of winter and not a lot of things were clearanced or on shelves at that time, I had to wait till everything was put out in the spring, so I did pay full price for a lot of things, even though, I did go to big box retailers and shop around and did the best I could. But everybody can do that, okay? And being the fact that it's midsummer now, if you don't have a garden but you're thinking about having one next year, or if you're watching this months after I make it and you're getting ready, or at least before they pull it off the shelf, so the last couple of clearance items go off the shelf at the local stores, go and get some of the things that are cheaper, and build up a stock, so that way when spring comes, you're not spending a ton of money, or at least a larger amount in some cases. But one thing that I do want to also clarify too for this video is that the lowest price isn't always what you want to do. And one reason, one of the things that I think that's most true are the seeds. I spent $75.50 on seeds. Weirdly enough, in Massachusetts, it's one of the things that's not taxed because seeds are considered edible, which I didn't know until this year. I never really paid attention when I bought seeds. This is also the first year that I've done exclusively seeds. At least as of now, there's a video I'm going to be making shortly where actually I'm going to be planting a couple of plants that I got for free from a neighbor, which I want to give them a proper shout out, so they're going to get, so those plants are going to get their own video, and I'm going to mention the new friend. But back on topic. So seeds. Everything was from seeds. I spent $75.50 on seeds. And where $59 and some change, I think it was like $59.08 or something like that, was from a big box, from actually multiple big box retailers, with seeds from 3 different seed companies. I mean, they're all owned by the same one, but again, I'm not going to mention any names, but they are 3 different packaged companies. And then I got $16 and change worth of seeds from a small heirloom. Now, everything, small heirloom seed company, which I'm going to mention them by name in a moment, with permission. I spent just over $16 just to try them out because, they're a small online company, and honestly, just me personally, I'm very apprehensive about what I put my credit card number to online, having had my identity stolen once before. But I decided to give them a shot, and the name of the company is Mary's Heirloom Seeds, and the reason why I want to mention them by name is how fantastic they are. Now, I'm not being paid by Mary. They're not sponsoring me. This is purely my own testimonial in accordance to the topic today. Now, her seeds obviously aren't cheaper than the seeds that I bought at Walmart or Home Depot. Actually, they're almost the same as what I paid at Home Depot, but that's besides the point. But on average, of the seed varieties I got from her, the ones that I could find from the major companies at the major retailers, her seeds were 40 cents to $1 more. But the quantities were about the same, and these are open pollinated heirloom non-GMO seeds. Keep in mind, I still got organic from these from the major companies, though. But I think where the biggest difference is what you're getting for the money you spend. With the major companies, and these are all 3 of them, I had terrible germination rates. Zucchini and summer squash were the only 2 that germinated over 50%. I had about a 67%, about 2/3 of the seeds that I planted popped up. I had a 50% germination rate with my butternut squash. Everything else was 33.3%, so 1/3 or less. Tomatoes were my Brandywine pink were 33 1/3. My big boy tomatoes were, I think it was 25%. I don't have the notes in front of me. My Roma tomatoes were 25%. My cabbage, I planted 100 seeds, and right now I've got 5 plants sitting out there that are barely there. Terrible. That's 5%. 5 out of 100. That's awful. Now, those are just the measurable. I can't really measure the arugula, the spinach, the lettuce, because I put all the seeds directly out, and I didn't exactly count them as I was pouring them on the ground. Same thing with the beets. Now, those probably all germinated much better than 50%, but definitely not to the degree of Mary's seeds. Now, Mary, I got a bunch of different types of bean seeds. I got green zebra tomatoes. I got purple tomatillos and sunflowers. And the germination rate for everything that she gave me was 95.1%. Oh, before I forget, the beans, the green beans from the major company that I got my green beans for, germinated at 45%. Now, even though they're one of the easiest things to grow, I still only germinate less than half from the major company. So before you say, "Oh, well, of course Mary's germinate better," they're mostly beans. The major brands were 45%. But Mary's 95.1% is the exact percentage that I worked out to. It was like 95.09, so I just rounded it. So better than 95% germination rate of the seeds that I planted that I got from her. And the only thing not currently in the garden is the purple tomatillo, because when I put them in the ground, I did something stupid and I killed them. Now we have just a long enough season where I can probably plant another seed and maybe get 1 or 2 tomatillos off before the freeze kills the plant. So I'm actually going to try that when the moon comes around tomorrow. Actually no, later this afternoon the moon will come around, moonrise. It'll be time to it'll be time to plant above ground seeds. So I'm going to try one more time, which I know they'll come up. I don't know if it'll have enough time to produce. I hope it will. But again, that one was my fault. So if you're watching, I killed the tomatillo, not you. But seriously, just to have all the seeds come up and know that I put a seed in the ground or I put a seed in the starting mix and I knew it was going to come up. Or now knowing that it was going to come up. Now, yes, her seeds cost a little bit more, but let's take the beans, for example, where hers germinated a little bit better than twice as much. Now, if you're paying $2 for 10 plants or $3 for 20 plants, what's the better deal there? That's a much better deal. You're getting twice as much for only 50% more instead of twice as much. And so, obviously, next year, now, anybody who has been watching my videos knows I plan on saving a lot of seed this year, as much as I can. But any seeds that I do buy next year, I'm going to be going exclusively with companies like Mary's. In fact, it'll be mostly Mary, because she's just been fantastic. She's answered my messages, my questions. She's helped me learn a little bit too, quite a bit this year, and she's always just very friendly. And so I'm going to stop with just the testimonial part here. Mary is fantastic, and get back on topic. So with the value, you want to make sure that you know what you're getting, that you seek it out. If seed companies offer germination rate guarantees, keep track of your germination. Most of the companies that are good enough to offer germination rates, first of all, they'll usually germinate better, and secondly, they'll work with you if they screw up, because they're usually small companies and they want to keep you guys happy, and so basically, in conclusion, it doesn't cost a lot of money. It doesn't cost a lot of time. It doesn't, and you can get a good value. You don't have to get the cheapest thing to get this value. And so I hope that a little bit of this explanation inspires you a little bit to at least try gardening. Grow a couple plants in a pot. You won't make a profit off of plants in a pot most likely, but it'll at least get you started. At least get the idea in your mind on how to do a little bit more. So I hope everybody out there is willing to try to grow something. And I'm going to be doing more videos on saving money and getting better value, because with moving to the homestead, that's going to be a huge thing, is being able to do as much self-sufficiently and not wasting a lot of money. So thanks for listening to my rambling. Thanks for listening to my explanations. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please drop a comment in the box below on anything that I might have missed or any questions you might have. Drop comments about any particular videos you might want to see. You can find me on Facebook. We are working on a Thomas Clan Garden Facebook page as well. That's going to be coming pretty soon. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe our videos. The more people that see, the better. So, and for all of us at the Thomas Clan Garden, we'll see you next time. Have a good day. Bye.